Get off my land before I call real law enforcement! I roared across the shallow riverbank, my voice echoing off the limestone cliffs that framed the Pedernales like ancient sentries. Linda Hartford stood 30 feet away on the exposed gravel ford, two men in crisp navy uniforms flanking her like palace guards. The November sun beat down merciless despite the season, and the river running low from 3 months of drought barely whispered over smooth stones that had seen 177 years of my family's footsteps. My spring-fed island sat exposed behind me, connected to the mainland by the natural rock crossing my great-great-great-grandfather had reinforced with his own hands in 1852. The same crossing Linda Hartford had deliberately positioned herself on, blocking my path like she owned the river itself. This river corridor is under Riverbend Estates jurisdiction, Linda said, her voice cold and measured despite the Texas heat. Not a hair out of place in that severe blonde bob. Designer sunglasses, reflecting my face back at me in twin mirrors. You're trespassing on community-managed water resources, Mr. Bridger. Community-managed? I took 3 aggressive steps forward, boots crunching on limestone gravel, felt my hands ball into fists. 20 years as a Texas Ranger taught me to recognize predators long before they struck. And this woman, pearl earrings, probably worth more than my truck, smile polite as poisoned honey was circling my land like a coyote eyeing a calf. That homestead belonged to my great-grandfather. My arm shot out, pointing at the stone house rising from the island behind me. Texas land grant from 1847. You have no authority here. None! Actually, the HOA voted, I don't give a damn what your HOA voted. The words came out like gunshots. A pair of herons launched from the shallows, spooked by my voice. Somewhere in the distance, my daughter stopped skipping stones and turned to watch. I could see her small silhouette against the oak trees, frozen mid-throw. One of the fake officers, taller one, gray stubble, 2 new uniform that screamed costume shop, shifted his weight and let his right hand drift toward the pepper spray canister on his belt, slow, deliberate. Meant to intimidate. I didn't even blink. Try it, I said, my voice dropping to that register I used to use on armed suspects deciding whether to make the worst decision of their lives. I spent 20 years pulling badges off criminals who played dress-up. You think I can't spot rent-a-cops with mail-order patches from 100 yards out? The man's hand froze. His partner, younger, softer around the edges, looked away, suddenly fascinated by something in the water. Behind them, Craig Hartford leaned against the pontoon boat's chrome railing, arms crossed, $200 sunglasses perched on his head. Real estate developer, Linda's husband, the money behind the smile. He was grinning like this was all very amusing, like watching his wife corner a trapped animal was quality entertainment. Linda took a small step forward. Not aggressive, controlled, like approaching a skittish horse. Mr. Bridger, she said, and I heard something shift in her tone, something harder underneath the politeness. We can do this the easy way, through proper channels and mutual cooperation. Or we can do it through the courts, through inspections, through every legal avenue available to protect this river's environmental integrity. She paused, letting that sink in. But make no mistake, that island, your island, is coming under Riverbend Estates jurisdiction, one way or another. It's just a matter of time and paperwork. The way she said it, so certain, so inevitable, made my blood run cold. Over my dead body, I said. Linda removed her sunglasses, folded them slowly, tucked them into her blazer pocket, and when her eyes met mine, pale blue, sharp as broken glass, carrying something that looked like desperation wrapped in determination, I saw it. Not just greed, fear. The kind of fear that makes people dangerous. She stepped close enough that I could smell her perfume mixing with the mineral scent of the river. Close enough that her next words came out barely above a whisper, meant only for me. That? Linda said, each word deliberate as a knife thrust can be arranged. The threat hung between us like humidity. Behind her, Craig's grin widened. The fake officers stood straighter. The river kept flowing, indifferent to human drama, and somewhere on the mainland shore, my daughter watched her father face down the woman who wanted to take everything we had. The moment stretched, taut as wire. Then Linda turned, climbed back onto the pontoon boat with practiced grace, and the engine roared to life. "Enjoy your weekend, Mr. Bridger," she called over the motor noise. "My attorney will be in touch Monday morning." The boat pulled away, churning white water, leaving me standing alone on the crossing with adrenaline still flooding my veins and the taste of coming war bitter in my mouth. I stayed there long after they disappeared around the river bend. Stayed until my hands stopped shaking. Stayed until my daughter called out, "Dad, are you okay?" "Yeah, sweetheart, I lied. I'm okay." But I wasn't. Because in that moment, staring at the empty river where Linda Hartford's boat had vanished, I knew with absolute certainty that this wasn't a dispute. This was a declaration of war. And one of us wasn't walking away with our world intact. I knew the moment that pontoon boat pulled away, Linda sitting rigid, her HOA lawyer whispering poison, that this wasn't just another petty HOA power trip. This was a calculated land grab for a $2.9 million historic Texas homestead. 3 acres of spring-fed river island. Prime hill country real estate developers had been eyeing since the 90 seconds. And the people coming after me had no idea they were picking a fight with a former Texas Ranger who'd spent 20 years taking down criminals, smarter and meaner than any HOA board. They tried everything. Fake environmental violations, doctored drone footage, private security dressed as Pedernales River Patrol. All because Linda decided my island, my family sanctuary for 177 years, would look better, demolished, and replaced with luxury condos. But here's what Linda didn't know. I had something she didn't. Facts. Law. Texas land grant documentation dating to 1847. And 2 decades of experience dealing with people who thought money meant immunity. Before we jump in, let me know where you're watching from, and subscribe for more insane HOA stories. 3 years ago, my life was quieter. Just Nate Bridger, 42, former ranger who'd retired after a shooting, went sideways, bought a small vineyard, spent weekends restoring my great-grandfather's homestead on the family island. Then Riverbend Estates broke ground, and suddenly my quiet stretch of the Pedernales became prime real estate. The homestead sat on a natural island, 3 acres of limestone and oak that emerged from the river during drought, connected to mainland by a rock ford my ancestors reinforced in the 1850 seconds. My great-great-great-grandfather, Samuel Bridger, built the stone house in 1847 after receiving a Texas land grant, fought Comanches from those walls, survived Civil War, Reconstruction, Depression, registered, deeded, documented. After I left the Rangers after the Austin shooting that ended my career, I poured everything into restoring it. New roof, solar panels, rainwater collection. I planted grapevines, built a tasting room, started a vineyard that paid taxes and left me alone. My daughter loved it. We'd fish, swim, watch, hawks circle, no radio calls, no active shooter situations, no nightmares about pulling triggers, just peace. Then Riverbend Estates started construction. Imagine neighborhoods where brochures say hill country luxury living, and every house comes with mandatory HOA fees and rules about mailbox colors. Where someone in Lululemon lectures you about visual harmony while their landscaper dumps fertilizer into the river. For a while they left me alone. Then I found their brochure washed up after a storm. The aerial photo had been edited. The island, my island, was blurred out, erased. First warning sign. One November afternoon, I heard a mechanical hum, a sleek pontoon boat cut across low water. White hull, chrome railings, 3 people aboard in khaki and linen. That's when I first saw Linda Hartford up close. She stepped off the boat onto my dock with the confidence of someone who'd never been told no in her life. The first thing I noticed was the crimson red blazer fitted, expensive, tailored so precisely it looked like it had been designed specifically for her. The rich color caught the afternoon sun like fresh paint. Underneath, a black silk blouse cut in a V-neck that made no apologies, the fabric moving like water with each breath. Her pencil skirt matched the blazer perfectly, professional but with a subtle slit that suggested calculated presentation. Red patent leather heels clicked sharply on my wooden dock, expensive shoes that had never seen honest work. Auburn hair fell in loose waves to her shoulders, styled with the kind of casual perfection that takes hours and hundreds of dollars to achieve. Her lips were painted the exact shade of red as her blazer and heels, bold, unapologetic, matching the outfit with deliberate precision. She looked like a magazine cover, or a corporate predator dressed for the hunt. Beside her, Mitchell, environmental consultant, carrying an oversized clipboard, and Craig Hartford, her husband, real estate developer, leaning back with that trust fund swagger. Linda extended her hand like we were at a Chamber of Commerce mixer. "Lovely property," she said, eyes roaming like she was evaluating resale value. "Shame it's not accessible to the community." "It's not part of your community," Mitchell chuckled. "This river corridor has been voted into Riverbend jurisdiction for watershed management," Linda said, her voice carrying that rehearsed authority of someone used to getting her way. Alarm bells. As a ranger, I dealt with cartel smugglers, meth cooks, armed robbers. I knew the look of someone wrapping theft in official language. Linda was gift wrapping a land grab and doing it in designer clothes that probably cost more than most people's monthly mortgage. Mitchell pulled out that oversized clipboard. "Since Riverbend manages the river's environmental integrity, we're updating compliance. This property has raised concerns." "Concerns? This land has a Republic-era deed. Predates your HOA by 177 years. The community voted to extend jurisdiction over shared water resources. Your HOA voted among yourselves. That means nothing to Comal County or Texas water law." Linda's perfectly manicured hand tightened slightly on the clipboard Mitchell offered her. The movement made her blazer shift, catching light. When a community acts together for environmental protection, it doesn't "I cut her off." Not over land it doesn't own. "This island doesn't answer to you," Craig leaned forward with his trust fund swagger. "Actually, when an HOA expands jurisdiction, read the Texas Water Code, read the Property Code, read the original 1,847 land grant. This island doesn't answer to you." Linda snapped her fingers toward Mitchell, a sharp sound that matched the clicking of those red heels. The report, glossy folder, drone photos with red circles around my solar panels, dock, irrigation, unregulated development on shared riparian resources. Mitchell said condescendingly, "If you're going to doctor drone images, don't leave the Riverbend construction crane reflected in the water. That solar array? County approved. Twice inspected." Linda's expression hardened, those red lips pressing into a thin line. "We're here to offer solutions." "Solutions to what problem?" "Your property disrupts the river's aesthetic cohesion. Riverbend residents have concerns about environmental standards." "You have concerns, you alone," her eye twitched. "What's the real reason?" "We want harmony with our community vision, your standards, not the laws. It would be easier if you cooperated." I stepped forward. "I'm not joining your HOA. This property doesn't answer to you." "Not yet," Linda said quietly. "Threat." She turned smoothly, those heels clicking a sharp rhythm on the dock as she walked back to the boat. The crimson blazer caught the breeze slightly, fabric moving with practiced elegance. They motored away. I watched until they disappeared. Then that feeling came the one before raids went bad. Warning, Linda had said, "We voted to extend our jurisdiction. HOAs can vote on landscaping, but they cannot rewrite 177 years of Texas land law unless they make the county believe it's legal, unless someone with money stands to profit." This wasn't about environmental protection. This was hostile takeover wrapped in HOA jargon and an expensive outfit designed to make lies look legitimate. The homestead felt marked. Next time, they wouldn't come politely. 2 weeks later, everything hit at once. First, boats circling the island, people in river patrol, polos with fake badges taking photos. I confronted them. They claimed riparian authority. I called Texas Parks and Wildlife. They'd never heard of these clowns. Second, GPS tracker under my truck, industrial grade. Serial number traced to Lone Star Security Solutions parent company, Hartford Holdings, Craig's company. Third, cameras in oak trees overlooking the homestead, weatherproof, cellular. Pointing at doors and windows, I ripped them down, documented everything, filed reports, but the real blow came next. Anonymous complaints flooded the county. Unsafe structures, disturbing nesting eagles, wrong habitat, generator noise. I ran on solar. Each complaint triggered inspections. Each came back clean, but each cost time, money, stress, death by bureaucratic cuts. Then I found the development plans. County Clerk Marcus, former Marine, property law enthusiast, pulled files for me. Riverbend had filed a petition to reclassify the entire river corridor as community-managed riparian conservation zone. Translation: we want authority disguised as environmentalism. Photos circled my homestead as unregulated structures disrupting natural water flow. The petition was moving forward with Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. TCEQ could trigger inspections, restrictions, temporary access limits. Linda was weaponizing environmental law. Marcus, what else? He pulled up more files. Shell Company, Hartford Holdings LLC. Glossy renderings, Riverside Luxury Estates, Phase 3. At the center, modern glass villa, on my island. Below, pending historic structure removal. Linda didn't want compliance, she wanted ownership. My island wasn't a nuisance, it was a multi-million-dollar development site. I drove straight to my attorney, Elena Rodriguez, former prosecutor, legal warrior. I dropped the binder on her desk. Thud shook her coffee. She opened it. Eyes widened. They're laying groundwork to steal your land with a smile. Can they? Not legally, but they can stall you, bury you, hit you with access restrictions. She tapped the villa rendering. This is the smoking gun. They're turning your homestead into a cash cow. What do we do? Elena leaned back, pen flipping like a weapon. We go to war. The preliminary hearing was the 19th of December 2024. Elena and I walked in confident. The hearing room was smaller than I expected. Wood paneling, Texas flag beside the American flag, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. Linda sat at the plaintiff's table in a navy blazer and pearl earrings, professional, controlled, the picture of concerned civic responsibility. Her auburn hair pulled back in that severe style. Red lips still bulled against the conservative outfit, the only hint of the woman I'd met on my dock. Her lawyer, Preston Walsh, $900 per hour attorney from Austin, shuffled papers with practiced precision. But Linda's lawyer was better connected, better funded. He had a hired environmental expert claiming my dock disrupted sediment flow. He had coached Riverbend residents testifying about river health concerns. He had doctored aerial footage. And he had Linda, composed and elegant, playing concerned environmentalist with Oscar-worthy precision. Judge Morrison, older, cautious, pro-development, studied evidence, then delivered the blow. Given conflicting expert testimony, I'm issuing temporary access suspension pending environmental review. My world tilted. Your Honor, Mr. Bridger, this is precautionary. No access to the island until February 6th hearing. Gavel fell. Linda's red lips curved into a small, cold smile. Victorious. Outside, my daughter was waiting. She ran to me, hopeful. Dad, did you win? I couldn't speak. We didn't win, sweetheart. But it's great-grandpa's house. They can, for now. My ex-wife Sarah stood, arms crossed. vindicated. She'd told me to sell years ago. I told you, she said quietly. Should have taken the developer's offer. I walked away. That evening, I sat on the mainland shore, staring across the Pedernales. The river was low. I could see the homestead clearly. 10 minutes. That's all it would take to walk there. But I couldn't. Court order. For the first time since leaving the Rangers, I felt defeated. My phone buzzed. My daughter, Dad, are you okay? Yes, I lied. But I wasn't. My chest tightened. Panic attack. I'd been holding back. Finally hit. I gripped the steering wheel. Gasped for air. Tears streaming. Ugly, broken sobs. Because I was tired. So tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of pretending. I wasn't terrified of losing the one place where Austin didn't follow me. Around 4 a.m., I sat at the kitchen table with great-grandfather's journals. The 3rd of August, 1863, storm last night, thought the homestead might not survive. But she held. Buildings built right always do. Same with men. What do I do, great-grandpa? I whispered. Then my phone buzzed. 5:47 a.m. Unknown number. Mr. Bridger, we need to talk. About Linda. About what she's really doing. Who is this? Jennifer Kwan. Riverbend board member. My heart hammered. Because I can't watch her destroy another family. She's not protecting the river. She's clearing it for Craig's development. Why help me? Because 4 months ago, she did this to an elderly couple, forced them out. The husband died from stress 2 weeks later. Silence. Meet me tomorrow, 8 a.m. Grooney Grist Mill. I have evidence. She hung up. For the first time in weeks, I felt hope. Dangerous, fragile, terrifying. The fight wasn't over. Next morning, Jennifer Kwan walked into the restaurant wearing a hoodie, shaking. She sat across from me. I can't do this anymore. She pulled out a USB drive. Slid it like contraband. Financial records, emails between Linda and Craig, construction contracts, bribed officials, everything. Why give me this? Tears filled her eyes. I can't let it happen again. What's on this? Proof they've been planning this for 3 years. Proof they bribed the environmental expert. Proof they hired security to surveil you. She stood. You didn't get this from me. Jennifer, thank you. She vanished. I called Elena. Get to your office. We've got a nuke. The evidence was devastating. Emails discussing clearing the historic eyesore, invoices for property surveillance services, financial records showing Linda funneling HOA funds into Hartford Holdings, contract promising the expert $75K to testify against me, text from Linda to Craig. Judge is sympathetic. We'll have island cleared by February. Phase 3 proceeds. Elena grinned like a wolf. They handed us a RICO case. Can we stop the suspension? We can bury them. Emergency hearing. The 14th of January, 2025. Courtroom packed. News crews. County officials sensing scandal. Linda entered wearing pearl gray, trying for professional innocence. But I noticed the red heels hadn't changed. That auburn hair still perfectly styled. Those bold red lips, a signature she couldn't quite abandon. She thought she'd won. Judge Morrison took the bench. Elena stood. Your Honor, new evidence. She presented emails, financial records, surveillance invoices, bribed expert contract. Then she nodded to Jennifer in the gallery. Jennifer pulled out her phone. Pressed play. Suddenly, audio filled the courtroom. Linda's voice crystal clear, damning. Once we remove the homestead, Phase 3 proceeds. Riverside Villa units will sell for $5 million each. We're talking $80 million revenue. All we need is the old man's property gone. Craig's debts from the Austin development are killing us. We need this money or we lose everything. Craig's voice. What if he fights? Then we bury him. Fake violations, bribed experts. Whatever it takes, we're too deep in debt to fail now. The courtroom exploded. Morrison slammed his gavel. Order. Linda shot to her feet, face white as paper against those red lips. That's illegal recording. That's Mrs. Hartford. Sit down. Your Honor, I can explain. Bailiff, secure the doors. No one leaves. Linda's perfect composure shattered. She looked at Craig, at her lawyer, at Jennifer. You, Linda breathed, staring at Jennifer. You traitor, Mrs. Hartford, quiet! Morrison's voice was ice. Given this evidence, I am immediately lifting the access suspension. Furthermore, I am referring this matter to the county prosecutor for criminal investigation of fraud, bribery, illegal surveillance, conspiracy, and racketeering. Riverbend Estates authority is revoked. Mrs. Hartford, you are prohibited from any contact with Mr. Bridger. Gavel fell. Linda stood frozen. Then something in her broke. No! She screamed. That homestead is mine. We need that land. Craig's debts will lose everything. Bailiff. Craig tried to leave. Bailiff blocked the door. Reporters swarmed. Elena exhaled. Told you. They always confess in writing. County prosecutor filed charges. Fraud, bribery, illegal surveillance, conspiracy, racketeering. The trial lasted 7 weeks through January and February 2025. Courtroom 3B in the Comal County Courthouse became ground zero for what local media dubbed the Riverbend Conspiracy. Witnesses testified. Financial experts walked through money trails showing HOA funds funneling into Hartford Holdings shell companies. Jennifer took the stand, brave, shaking, but resolute, and walked the jury through 3 years of Linda's increasingly desperate schemes. But the most devastating testimony came from Craig Hartford himself. The prosecution cut him a deal: testify against Linda, get a reduced sentence. And testify he did. The Austin development failed in 2022, Craig said from the witness stand. Looking 10 years older than when this started. I borrowed $4.2 million from private investors, promised luxury condos near the Capitol. Market crashed, construction costs tripled. We couldn't deliver. He swallowed hard. By late 2023, investors were threatening lawsuits, criminal fraud charges. We were drowning. Linda and I fought every night. She kept saying we just needed one big win to dig out. And the Riverside Luxury Estates project? The prosecutor asked. It was our Hail Mary. The numbers worked if we could acquire the Bridger Island property. That location was the keystone. Without it, Phase 3 couldn't proceed. With it, we'd have $80 million in pre-sales, enough to pay back Austin investors and salvage everything. So you targeted Mr. Bridger's homestead specifically? Yes. Linda did the research, found the land grant documents, realized the property was historic, protected, nearly untouchable legally. So, he paused. She developed a strategy to use environmental regulations as a weapon, make Nate look like the bad guy, make us look like environmental heroes, pressure the county into reclassifying his land. And when that didn't work fast enough, Craig's voice dropped, Linda said we needed to escalate. Fake patrol officers, GPS tracking, surveillance cameras. She hired Lone Star Security, my company, unfortunately, and gave them carte blanche to gather intel, create pressure, manufacture violations. Did you object? Silence. Mr. Hartford? No, he whispered. I didn't. I was terrified of losing everything, of going bankrupt, of Linda leaving me. His voice cracked. I was a coward. When the defense called Linda to the stand, I expected the polished HOA president, the controlled, calculated woman who'd threatened me on the river crossing. Instead, I got something I never saw coming. Truth. Linda walked to the witness stand in a charcoal suit, subdued, professional. But those red heels clicked on tile. That auburn hair framed her face. Those bold lips stood out against the conservative outfit like a defiant signature she couldn't erase. Her attorney asked about her background. Standard character witness stuff meant to humanize her, but Linda hijacked it. I grew up in a trailer park outside Waco, she said, voice steady but eyes distant. Single mother, 3 kids, welfare checks that never stretched far enough. I wore the same jeans to school for 2 years because we couldn't afford new ones. Kids called me trailer trash. Boys who lived in real houses wouldn't look at me. She stared at her hands. I swore I'd never be poor again, never be that girl. I worked 3 jobs through community college, married Craig when I was 23. He came from money, from a family, from the life I wanted. Her jaw clenched. I built Riverbend from nothing. Every landscaped yard, every architectural guideline, every rule about fence heights and mailbox colors, I created an entire perfect world where poverty couldn't touch me, where no one could ever call me trash again. And when the Austin development failed? Her attorney asked gently. For the first time, Linda's voice wavered. I felt the trailer park coming back. Felt everything I'd built crumbling. Felt like that poor girl again, wearing thrift store clothes, being laughed at. She looked up directly at the jury, and I got scared. Not greedy, scared. She paused. Scared people do terrible things. I did terrible things. Destroyed families. Broke laws. Became the bully I used to fear. The courtroom was dead silent. Do you regret targeting Mr. Family? Bridger's property? Her attorney asked. And for one brief, stunning moment, I saw it. Genuine regret. Linda looked at me across the courtroom. Her eyes, those pale blue eyes that had been cold as winter on the river crossing, now looked almost human. Yes, she said quietly. I regret it. I regret all of it. That homestead was never mine to take. That land has history, legacy, blood in the foundation stones. I knew that. And I tried to destroy it anyway because I was too scared to face bankruptcy like an adult. She looked back at the jury. But regret doesn't undo damage, doesn't give back what I tried to steal, doesn't erase the fear I caused Mr. Bridger and his family. Her voice steadied. I deserve whatever sentence this court gives me. The courtroom erupted in whispers. Judge Morrison gavelled for silence. And I sat there, stunned, realizing that Linda Hartford wasn't a cartoon villain. She was a terrified woman who'd let fear turn her into a monster, which somehow made it worse. Sentencing day arrived gray and cold, the 6th of February 2025. The courtroom packed beyond capacity. News crews lined the hallway. County residents who'd followed every detail filled the gallery. The side door opened, and Linda Hartford entered for her final appearance. What happened next, I'll never forget. Gone was the practical navy blazer, the sensible pearls, the calculated, concerned environmentalist costume she'd worn throughout the trial. Instead, she wore a crimson-red blazer fitted, expensive, tailored to absolute perfection. The same shade I'd first seen her wearing on my dock. The color was bold, almost aggressive, rich as fresh blood. The fabric caught the fluorescent courtroom lights and seemed to glow with defiant energy. Underneath, a black silk blouse cut in a deep V-neck that bordered on scandalous for court. The silk moved like water when she walked, revealing and concealing in equal measure, sensual, unapologetic, a matching pencil skirt with a subtle slit up the side, professional but defiant, the same style that had clicked across my dock months ago. Red patent leather heels that clicked sharply on the tile floor with each deliberate step. The sound echoed through the silent room like gunshots. The same expensive shoes that had never seen honest work. Her hair, usually pulled into that severe professional bun, now fell in loose auburn waves past her shoulders. Styled, intentional, beautiful in a way that felt like armor. And her lips were painted the exact shade of red as her blazer and heels. Bold, unapologetic, war paint, the signature look she'd worn from the beginning, now amplified to maximum defiance. She looked like a woman who'd decided that if she was going down, she'd do it on her own terms. In flames, in style. In the exact outfit that had announced her power from day one, refusing to show weakness even at the end, she walked to the defendant's table with her head high, spine rigid, every step measured and deliberate. Like a queen approaching the gallows. The crimson blazer caught light with each movement. The red heels struck tile with sharp precision. The auburn waves framed her face like a portrait. Craig sat beside her, looking defeated, broken, 20 pounds lighter than when this started. But Linda? Linda looked like she wanted to burn the courthouse down with the force of her presence alone. Judge Morrison adjusted his glasses and stared at her for a long, heavy moment. The courtroom held its breath. "Mrs. Hartford," Morrison began, his voice measured and cold, "I have presided over this court for 26 years. In that time, I have sentenced murderers, drug traffickers, white-collar criminals of every variety." He paused, letting silence build. "But rarely, very rarely, have I seen someone abuse a position of community trust with such calculated, sustained malice as you have demonstrated." Linda's jaw tightened, but she didn't look away. The crimson blazer rose and fell with her breathing. "You weaponized environmental protection laws meant to preserve Texas natural resources. You corrupted civic institutions designed to serve communities. You bribed officials, hired criminals to harass a law-abiding citizen, and orchestrated a conspiracy to defraud an American family of land they've held for 177 years. Morrison leaned forward. "All for money. All to cover your husband's failed investments and avoid personal bankruptcy." He let that sit. "Before I impose sentence, does the defendant wish to make a statement?" For 3 full seconds, I thought she wouldn't speak. Then Linda Hartford stood. Slowly, deliberately, that crimson blazer seeming to catch fire under the courtroom lights. "Yes, Your Honor," she said. Her voice was steady, sharp. "I have something to say." The courtroom leaned forward collectively, and then Linda Hartford exploded. "That homestead," she began, voice rising with each word, "is an eyesore, a historic blight on one of the most beautiful stretches of the Pedernales River." Gasps rippled through the gallery. "It disrupts the aesthetic harmony we built at Riverbend. It ruins the view." Her hand slammed on the table, making the crimson fabric of her blazer shift and catch light. "I was protecting property values, protecting the vision of a unified, beautiful community." Morrison's expression didn't change. "Mrs. Hartford, that historic preservation nonsense is just a shield." Linda's voice climbed toward a shout, that perfect composure fracturing like glass. Her auburn waves swung as she gestured. "A legal loophole for people who refuse to embrace progress, who refuse to see that 177-year-old stone houses are obstacles to modern development." Murmurs exploded. Morrison gavelled for order, but Linda wasn't done. "He had no right to keep that land." She pointed at me with a trembling finger, the red blazer pulling tight across her shoulders. Her red lips formed each word with venomous precision. "That island should have been mine. Should have been Riverbend's. We could have built something beautiful. Something that would have brought jobs, revenue, tourism to this county." "Mrs. Hartford, that's enough. It would have saved everything." Linda's voice broke. The crimson blazer seemed to pulse with her ragged breathing. "Would have saved Craig's business, saved my reputation, saved us from bankruptcy and humiliation, and going back to being nothing." And there it was. The truth behind the crimson blazer and perfect makeup and expensive heels. Not evil, desperation. Morrison's voice cut through like ice. "It would have brought you $80 million in profit while you destroyed families, committed multiple felonies, corrupted public institutions." Linda's chest heaved, mascara beginning to smudge. That perfect red lipstick still flawless, but her eyes now wild. The crimson blazer rose and fell with each ragged breath. "I was protecting the community," she screamed. "That's what HOA presidents do. We maintain standards. We preserve property values. You protected nothing." Morrison said coldly. "You exploited everything. You became exactly what you feared most, a bully who destroys others to protect yourself." Silence crashed down. Linda stood there, crimson blazer rising and falling with each ragged breath, auburn hair slightly disheveled now, red lips still bold against her pale face, looking like a woman, watching her entire world collapse in slow motion. Morrison picked up his sentencing document. Linda Marie Hartford, you are hereby sentenced to 12 years in federal prison, no eligibility for parole for a minimum of 5 years. Additionally, you are ordered to pay $3.1 million in restitution to Nathaniel Bridger and affected Riverbend homeowners whose dues you embezzled. The gavel fell. The sound echoed like a coffin lid closing. Furthermore, Morrison continued, you are permanently banned from serving on any homeowners association board, community leadership position, or civic organization in the state of Texas. Linda stood frozen. That crimson blazer, which had looked like power and defiance when she entered, which had announced her authority on my dock months ago, which had been her signature throughout this entire war, now looked like the costume of someone who'd played a role too long and forgotten where the character ended and the criminal began. Bailiffs approached from both sides. No, Linda whispered. Then louder, no, this is wrong. He doesn't deserve that land. We needed. They took her arms gently but firmly. The crimson fabric wrinkled under their grip. The red heels stumbled slightly. The auburn waves fell across her face. The river deserves better than some 177-year-old shack, she screamed as they led her toward the door, her voice climbing with each word, the red blazer catching light one last time. That homestead is worthless compared to what we could have built. The door closed, cutting her off mid-sentence. The courtroom sat in stunned, absolute silence for 3 full seconds. Then someone in the back started clapping. Then another. Then everyone except Craig, who sat with his head in his hands, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. I didn't clap. Just sat there, staring at that closed door, thinking about the woman in the crimson blazer. The woman who tried so hard to take everything from me. The woman who'd been so terrified of poverty that she'd become a monster. The woman who'd just lost everything, trying to avoid losing anything. And despite everything she'd done, the surveillance, the threats, the fake violations, the arson attempt, all of it, I felt something unexpected. Not satisfaction, sadness. Because Linda Hartford had taught me something profound. The most dangerous people aren't the ones who want to hurt you. They're the ones who are so scared of being hurt themselves that they'll destroy anyone who stands between them and safety. Even when that safety is built on lies, theft, and 177 years of someone else's blood. 3 weeks after sentencing, on a clear Saturday morning in late February, I walked across the low-water crossing with my daughter. The Pedernales ran gentle over smooth limestone, winter-fed and clean. Cypress trees lined the banks, their roots deep in Texas soil that had seen Comanches and conquistadors, settlers and rangers, droughts and floods, and now HOA presidents in crimson blazers. My daughter Emma, 12 years old, too smart for her own good, ran ahead, laughing, her boots splashing through shallow water. I walked slower, taking it in, this crossing, this island, this homestead, mine again. Really, truly mine. The weight of the last 4 months sat heavy on my shoulders, but lighter than it had been. The surveillance cameras were gone, the fake patrol boats vanished like bad dreams. The GPS tracker destroyed as evidence in a federal case. Riverbend Estates had dissolved, entirely voted out of existence by residents who discovered their dues had been embezzled to fund Linda's desperate schemes. The development company collapsed. The luxury villa renderings deleted from every server, and my homestead stood exactly as Samuel Bridger had built it in 1847. Limestone walls, oak beams, spring water flowing underneath, unchanged, undefeated. Emma disappeared into the house ahead of me. I heard her moving around inside, probably looking for the tide pool net she'd left on the porch 3 months ago during the access suspension. I stopped at the threshold, ran my hand along the doorframe where generations of Bridgers had carved their marks. S.B. 1847. Samuel Bridger, founder. J.B. 1889. Jacob Bridger, his son, who'd expanded the vineyard. T.B. 1900. 1952. Thomas Bridger, my grandfather, who'd fought in World War II and come home to this land like a man, finding salvation, and now space for one more. I pulled out my pocket knife, the same one I'd carried as a ranger, blade worn smooth from 20 years of use. Carved slowly, deliberately. Nota Bene 2025. Still standing. The wood curled away in thin ribbons. Cedar, old growth, hard as iron. Emma appeared at my shoulder. "What are you doing, Dad?" Adding to the family record. She read the names. Traced them with her finger. "Still standing," she said quietly. "What does that mean?" I closed the knife. Looked at her. Means Samuel built this place to last. Built it to survive. And every generation since has had to fight to keep it. Drought, flood, economic collapse, and now HOAs trying to call land theft community development. I gestured at the carved names. Each of these men stood their ground when someone tried to take what wasn't theirs. Samuel against Comanches. Jacob against railroad companies, wanting right-of-way. Your great-grandfather against Depression-era banks trying to foreclose. I touched my own fresh carving. And me against an HOA president who thought bylaws and money trumped 177 years of blood and sweat. Emma looked up at me with those serious eyes she got from her mother. "Did you ever want to quit? Like actually give up and sell?" I thought about lying. Thought about being the invincible dad. But she deserved truth. "Yes," I said. One night after I lost the preliminary hearing, sat in my truck, staring at this place, thinking maybe Sarah was right. Maybe it was too much trouble, too much fight, too much weight. What changed your mind? I pulled her close. You and Jennifer. And realizing that if I quit, if I let Linda steal this land with fake environmental claims and bribed experts, then Samuel built this homestead for nothing. All those years, all those fights, all that standing ground, wasted. I looked at the homestead. Some things are worth more than peace, Emma. More than money or comfort or convenience. Some things you fight for not because you want war, but because if good people don't stand up, bad people win. Every single time. She hugged me tight. Later that afternoon, we held an impromptu gathering. Wasn't planned, wasn't formal, but word had gotten out. Former Riverbend residents, county officials, neighbors who'd watched the trial, people from surrounding ranches who dealt with their own HOA nightmares. They showed up one by one, brought barbecue, beer, kids, dogs. Elena Rodriguez arrived with her paralegal and a bottle of expensive tequila. "For surviving," she said, grinning. Jennifer Kwan came nervously, still afraid of backlash for whistleblowing, but the crowd welcomed her, hugged her, called her brave. Even Marcus from the county records office showed up with his wife, carrying a framed copy of the original 1847 Texas land grant. "Thought you might want this on your wall?" he said. "Reminder of what you fought for." I took it with shaking hands. The paper was yellowed, fragile, covered in flowing script and an official Republic of Texas seal. "Be it known that Samuel J. Bridger is hereby granted 3 acres of land on the Pedernales River." The words blurred. "Thank you," I managed. As the sun began its descent toward the hill country horizon, someone handed me a microphone. I stood on the porch, the same porch Samuel had built, that Jacob had repaired, that Thomas had reinforced, and looked at 60 faces turned toward me. "I'm not good at speeches," I began. "Spent 20 years as a ranger, letting my badge do the talking." Chuckles rippled through the crowd. "But I want to say something about what happened here, about Linda Hartford and Riverbend Estates, and what they tried to do." Silence settled. Linda grew up poor, trailer park poor. And she clawed her way up through sheer will and determination, built a life, built a community, became successful. I paused. Then fear got a hold of her. Fear of losing it all. Fear of going back to being that poor girl, and that fear made her dangerous. I looked at Jennifer. She targeted this homestead not because she was evil, but because she was desperate. Her husband's business failed. They owed millions, and my land sat right in the center of their last chance at salvation. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. I'm telling you this not to excuse what she did. She broke laws, destroyed families, tried to steal 177 years of legacy. She deserves every year of that sentence. My voice hardened. But I'm telling you this so you understand. The biggest threat to your property, your rights, your freedom, isn't cartoon villains. It's regular people who get scared, who convince themselves that their emergency justifies your destruction, who hide theft behind community improvement and bylaws. I gestured at the land around us. This homestead survived because I knew three things. 1. The law. I knew Texas property law, water rights, historic preservation statutes. You can't fight paper with fists. You fight it with better paper. Emma grinned from the crowd. 2. I documented everything. Every threat. Every fake inspection. Every GPS tracker and surveillance camera. Evidence beats emotion in court every single time. I looked at Elena. And 3. I found the right people. A lawyer who fought like a pit bull. A whistleblower who risked everything. County clerks who cared about truth more than convenience. I raised my beer. You can't fight HOAs alone. You can't fight bad actors alone. You need community. Real community. Not the fake kind Linda tried to build with bylaws and fines. Glasses raised across the yard. So here's my message to anyone watching this story. Anyone dealing with their own HOA nightmare. Anyone being bullied by people hiding behind community improvement language. I let silence build. Stand your ground. Know the law. Document everything. Find your people. And never let anyone convince you that their theft is legal just because they call it something else. The crowd erupted in applause, but I wasn't done. I walked back into the homestead, emerged carrying something wrapped in cloth. My Texas Ranger badge, silver star, tarnished but solid. 5 points representing the 5 qualities Rangers were supposed to embody: courage, integrity, perseverance, courtesy, and judgment. I'd earned it in 2004. Turned it in after the Austin shooting in 2023, hadn't looked at it since. I placed it on the porch railing next to a limestone rock I'd pulled from the homestead's original foundation, one of the stones Samuel had laid with his own hands in 1847. 2 symbols, one about law, one about land. Both about standing your ground when darkness comes calling. This badge, I said, touching the star, taught me how to protect people. How to uphold the law, even when it's hard. Even when bad people have money, and lawyers, and fake authority. I picked up the limestone, and this rock taught me that foundations matter. That what your ancestors built with their hands and blood and sweat isn't yours to surrender just because someone powerful wants it. I looked at Emma. Samuel Bridger laid this stone 178 years ago. It's still here, still solid. Still holding up walls that have seen wars and floods and HOA presidents. I placed the badge and the stone side by side on the porch railing. These stay here. Reminders that some things are bigger than us. Some legacies demand defending. And some ground is worth standing on not because you're stubborn, but because if you don't, the next generation has nothing to stand on at all. The crowd fell silent. Then Elena started clapping. Then Jennifer. Then everyone. The sound echoed across the Pedernales, across limestone cliffs, across 178 years of Bridger's stubborn refusal to quit. That evening, after everyone left, I stood on the porch watching the sun melt into the horizon. Emma sat beside me, dangling her feet over the edge, throwing pebbles toward the river. "Dad?" she said quietly. "Yeah? When I grow up, I want to keep this place, like you did, like great-great-great-grandpa Samuel did." My throat tightened. "You sure? It's a lot of work, a lot of fighting sometimes." She looked at me with those serious eyes. "That's what makes it worth it." I pulled her close. And in that moment, I understood something Samuel probably understood in 1847, standing on this same ground, looking at this same river. Legacy isn't about leaving something valuable. It's about leaving something worth fighting for. The sun disappeared, Stars emerged. The pedernales whispered over stones worn smooth by time, and on the doorframe behind us, 5 names stood carved in cedar. SB, 1847, JB, 1889, TB 1952, Nota Bene 2025, still standing. And one day when she was ready, Emma would add hers, because that's what Bridgers do. We stand. Some battles choose you, some legacies demand defending, and some land is worth more than any developer's dream, because it's not just property. It's proof that ordinary people can stand against the powerful and win. Stand up, know the law, document everything, find your people, and remember, they only win if you quit. What's your HOA horror story? Drop it in the comments. Subscribe for more. And never, never let anyone tell you that bylaws and money trump blood, sweat, and 177 years of standing your ground. Because in the end, it's not about the land. It's about refusing to surrender what your ancestors bled for. It's about teaching the next generation that sometimes the only thing standing between freedom and theft is one person willing to say, "Not today, not ever, over my dead body," and mean it.